I sometimes hide out up in the hills because, I love mingling with people and having a yarn along the way, but it's also good to get some solitude and bunker away for a little bit to get some quiet time.
Thanks so much for the introduction, Tya. Welcome everybody to the Gary Word Trail Running Podcast. We're actually re-recording this episode. It's episode 1. It's an update made in January 2026. This podcast is the most detailed source of information from a trail running perspective about the Gary Word Trails. In this series, we work through the 12 sectors of the GPT 100. If you want to learn more about running in Gary Word, this is really the right place. Throughout the series, we've got a bunch of special guests discussing different aspects of Gary Word. We've done this so you can better immerse yourself in your surrounds and experience that same sense of wonderment that us locals get whenever we're out running in the park. We have some bonus episodes of live discussion panels at the Run the Gap and Wonderland event weekends, and are planning some future recordings that we'll keep under wraps for now. But I wanted to introduce my regular co-host. First up is Phil, who I'll introduce him as the breaker of poles, chaser of snakes, representing House Slytherin today. Phil, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Yeah, g'day. Thanks, and thanks for listening. Yeah, we're stoked to be recording this for you all. It sort of came about from the three of us, me, Pat and Mark, and our love of the area, specifically our love of running in this area. And we just sort of wanted to make sure there was a resource for anyone who wanted to come to town and go for a run along this beautiful landscape.
You get out for the events as well, Phil.
Me, yeah. I love running the events. There's quite a number of them nowadays. Everything from, the Wonderland Run the Gap. And I suppose the one that we talk about a lot is the GPT 100. It's run by Single Track. It's a 100-mile event, so it goes top to bottom. I suppose me specifically, I'm a bit of a short distance runner. I prefer road marathons up to sort of the 50K. However, I have just signed up for the 2026 edition of the 100 miles.
Whoa,
yeah,
big news. That's big news.
Drop it. But no, I've raced the 50Ks twice, and then something we talk about in future episodes, the three of us co-hosts have raced in the team stage relay, which was tons of fun, and that was, 2024?
23.
Jeez, time flies, doesn't it?
Thanks a lot, Phil. And then I'd like to introduce Mark, who currently is in very good form. I think 2 days ago he stole a pretty good crown off Caleb Olsen. Big achievement. And we're re-recording this first episode, which is pretty formative. It's where people started really making the word majestic synonymous with Gary Word, and I feel like Mark's responsible.
Thanks, Paddy, and hi everyone. I really enjoyed these podcasts, and it's a nice opportunity to re-record this episode 1. Yeah, so I guess for me, I've lived in the Gary Word area since 2015 and have been trail running here during that time, and I've really liked seeing how trail running's evolved and just the amount of people getting out and accessing the park. And for me, it's really that connection you feel in this majestic landscape that I want to share and be able to share with others and encourage others to get amongst it. So for myself, I love trail running, love getting out there either solo or with a group, and I've done a number of events here in the park, including the stage relay with you two in 2023, the stage solo in 2024, and then I finished the miler in 2025. But thanks for the shout out about stealing the crown from Caleb, Paddy, but I must say I reckon he could take about 20 minutes off me if he tried, and he only beat me by 15 hours in the miler, so I reckon it's not too bad. Yeah. And there was only 8 people that had run that segment, so...
Oh, don't talk it down, Mark. I reckon if we give you a couple of beers in a couple of years' time, you'll be talking about how much better than Caleb Olsen you were.
No, thanks. It's nice to be on and nice to be able to share this journey with others.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot. And yeah, for myself, my name is Pat or Paddy. I'm really lucky to have lived in Gary Word since 2021. And I find it a real privilege to learn these trails over the years. I'm really passionate about sharing that experience with others. I'm currently the chair of Gary Word Trail Running, where I really focus on that user experience, making sure that interactions with Gary Word Trail Running, or GTR, and our platforms are easy, helpful, and enjoyable. I have also been a participant in each of the GPT 100 events. I'm now a finisher of the miler as of 2025, same as Mark and soon to be Phil.
Oh, fingers crossed.
I just love running the technical trails because it really demands everything from you physically and mentally, and it helps me really appreciate the here and now when you're running through these beautiful surrounds. I wanted to introduce our special guest, Tya Lovett. We've been really excited to record this episode for a long time, particularly as the first in the series, and we're really grateful for Tya's presence on this pod. So a bit of an intro. Tya is a proud Gunditjmara man, grew up in Budja Budja, or Halls Gap, which is part of Gary Word, part of the Grampians National Park. He's got really strong connections to country, which continue to guide him through his cultural journey of life in the footsteps of his ancestors. Tya is currently the senior educator at La Trobe University, delivering the Certificate 4 in Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Management course to Victorian traditional owners and Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people working in the Victorian cultural heritage industry. Tya has been on the Victorian Aboriginal Heritage Council since 2024, one of 7 current council members. And we're really lucky to have Tya as local in town, along with his partner Katie and a couple of kids who seem to be increasingly interested in the sport of trail running themselves.
And for anyone listening, Tya was nodding along to all of that. So you did really well, Pat.
Yeah, thanks. I
was about to say, that's a good little intro there. But no, look, in all honesty, I'm honoured and privileged to be here amongst trail running legends of the Gary Word landscape. But yeah, look, my name's Tya Lovett, Gunditjmara man, and very honoured and privileged to be here today to join this episode on the podcast, and obviously share a bit of knowledge and understanding of this. I've heard majestic used a few times, landscape, but the reality is there's no real one word, I don't think, that can define or explain this location we find ourselves in, and that's why we call this place Gary Word. And Gary Word's pretty much representing all of these mountains that we see here, and also is a part of all the trails that you'll find yourself on, and hopefully a lot of visitors that come here as well to join in on that experience.
I've got one more thing that Tya missed off his list of achievements too, Tya. I'm pretty sure there's a Masters of Archaeology in there as well.
There's certainly an archaeology, yeah, that's all right.
Very, very well qualified, and we're very lucky to have you on today, so thanks so much for joining us here.
No, thanks. But look, I think we should acknowledge the traditional owners of this land in which we find ourselves in the Gary Word landscape, and that's the Djapurrung and the Jardwujali people. Pay our respects to their ancestors, past and present, but also be mindful that the ancestors and countries is still alive, and I think that's what some people forget, is that, the country's alive, the plants, the animals, the seasons, we're all got to work in with that, and I think that's where we said earlier is that this place is very special to many people and for many different reasons. And when I look out in the distance right now, just looking at this, majestic, beautiful landscape, the Djapurrung and Jardwujali people have been living in this landscape for a minimum of 22,000 years, and that in itself really is quite mind-boggling, given that I find it hard to even consider what, a few hundred years looks like, or 1,000 years, let alone, 22,000. And I say a minimum age because that's all that's been dated here at this stage. I definitely know it's a lot older than that. In saying that occupation in this landscape for that long, I think we've got to also be mindful that these mountains are over 400 million years old, and that in itself is quite astonishing, given that we do live in quite a very old, ancient landscape in more sort of geological terms as well, and that's what's created all these beautiful, rugged landscape for all recreation users, and in particular, trail running is perfect destination and location for this to happen.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Tya. That connection to country and talking about country sort of still being alive and with us. During the event last year, the 2025 event, this episode we're going to talk about stage 1, the first stage of the Peaks Trail. I was running through there and I just felt like, it's almost like part of me was just becoming part of this land. And I think after living here for so long and feeling this connection, but I don't really get that in many other places. It's a real special place, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Mark, that you live in a landscape long enough and country will start to reveal itself to you when it's ready, not when you're ready. A lot of people visit here and they want to see everything. They want to feel what you're talking about, what we're all talking about, that connection. And I think that happens over time. It happens at different moments for different people, but also it happens at different locations as well across the Garroward landscape. And I think it's really just, not discarding that feeling that you're getting. It's really making sure that, yes, I am grounded to this country and this landscape, and I need to channel into that. Although you must have been feeling at that time quite puffed after running God knows how long, but at the end of the day, you still could reaffirm that connection to country that you had at that time.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was early on in the event, but I just, even then, knowing that I still had a long way ahead of me, I kind of felt like I was going to complete the journey, even at that early stage, just from that sort of feeling. So it was a really nice experience, yeah.
One thing that strikes me when you're talking about that feeling growing as well as you spend more time here, I've only been here for a couple of years on and off. I can only imagine the connection that, 22,000 years blows your mind.
Yeah, look, and I think as Pat mentioned earlier that, given we have such an old occupation here, we know it's older than 22,000 years, yet to be dated, but at the end of the day, these mountains were a place of gathering, a place of ceremony, connection, marriages taking place here, initiations, trade, everything was happening right here in this beautiful landscape. And when you step outside of these mountain ranges, just have a look at how flat the country and landscape is, and all of a sudden you turn back and look at these mountains and you go, wow, like this was a beacon for people, a feature in the landscape. It has all the resources that anyone would ever need to live quite comfortably and sustainably with the environment. Yeah, so beautiful.
Talking about, 90% of Victoria's recorded rock art sites are found here in the Garroward range, and there's obviously quite a bit of occupation, but how would the Jadwajali and Djapurrung use it? I know you mentioned a few things, like how are they using this landscape compared to, say, how trail runners might?
Yeah, look, I think you're right. I think at the end of the day, there's many parts of these mountain ranges that would never have been accessed by all people. Some of these low-lying areas where there's water nearby, the resources are plentiful. That's where you'd get a lot of the younger children, a lot of the elders, maybe injured people as well. They would have to stick to the lower parts of these mountain ranges. As you start to get higher up, you start to get the younger generation, maybe young initiated men and warriors. They would start to venture up higher. Ladies as well. And then there's other spots when you start getting to the peaks of the mountains. I would dare say that's probably more for the senior initiated people, and that can be men and women that would be up in those areas for a particular reason and purpose. And I think that's what people get when they run through this country and get to explore and experience that, is that they will get different feelings of, this place is inviting, I need to keep exploring, I need to keep running. There's other spots you get to and it's like, oh, wait a minute, this does not feel comfortable, I probably shouldn't be here. So it's really connecting into what you're feeling at that time. But for traditional owners living in this landscape, it is used differently through the seasons, and I think when we talk about that 22,000 year markers, we've got to be mindful that was the last glacial maxial time when the weather and seasons were changing. So for the Djapurrung and Jadwajali people, and also the Gunditjmara people where I'm from, on the other side of the mountains, which connect to this landscape as well, we were living in the mountain areas in caves and shelters, and that's where a lot of the rock art and other things come from. And as the weather started getting better, we could move away from these mountains a little bit more and start living down on the flats and the waterways and things like that. So our relationship and connection to land and country changes over time, but also changes with the seasons. And that's not just for First Nations people or Aboriginal people, that's for all people living in this country.
Amazing. Going into the GPT miler in November 2025, I'd done a lot of trail running around Garroward, but still I hadn't done something that big, and I was trying to just mentally prepare for it, knowing that anything could be thrown at me. And I started thinking about it like it was going to be a long conversation between me and Garroward.
That's right. I remember you saying this.
And sometimes I was ready for us to be getting along really well. And then other times I expected there was going to be some long periods of silence and perhaps some massive arguments.
Yeah, some sort of relationship as opposed to a conversation.
And sure enough, I felt like that developed. Just when I thought I've got this sorted, Gary Word was like, "No, you have not. I'm kicking you off the mountain." And I ended up like limping home. Did you, Mark, have any sort of same thoughts as you were going through from top to bottom of Gary Word country?
Yeah, no, it was interesting. For me, it was, I guess, we got the GPT 100. So I know when the Grampians Peaks Trail built a hiking trail through from one end of Gary Word to the other along the range. It actually crosses a couple of the ranges, but it just so happened that it landed smack on 162 Ks or 100 miler. I know I was actually working here with Parks at the time when it was, I just received the funding to be able to build it. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that's going to be so popular with trail running. It'll be amazing. The ability to traverse this landscape in one go is such a unique and humbling experience, and a bit wanky but pretty transformative as well. Like, yeah, you got to dig pretty deep to get it done, but it's definitely need to do a little bit of preparation in terms of training and things like that. But it's, yeah, I got a lot out of just being able to traverse this whole landscape in kind of the one push. But yeah, there were definitely times where country probably wasn't being so kind to me, and probably me in reverse back as well. So it's definitely a journey.
Yeah, I've yelled at a rock or two when I've stubbed my toe or fallen flat on my face. That's been part of the relationship. But Pat, I suppose my question for you, and I was lucky or unlucky enough to be asked to pace you overnight on the Friday night of last year's edition of the 100 Mile event. So this is from Burra Huts, and we go up over Redmonds and gets us up over Mount William, the highest point, or Dooel, and across the plateau. The weather that we copped that night, it got to minus 11 degrees. We got 97, recorded 97 kilometre an hour wind gusts. It rained for about 4 hours straight, and this was, in the dark of the night. My question to you, Pat, is what did you say to the trail to deserve that?
I felt completely responsible. I got way too complacent. I took Gary Word for granted. I thought,
that's what I reckon.
Yeah, the first 60 kilometres, I thought, I'm having the race of my life. I'm going to finish this whole thing in like 28 hours. And I reckon Gary Word just smacked me for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For 4 hours.
Yeah. What was your finishing time?
It was 33 hours.
Yeah, cool. It's a common story, I think. You touched on it, Pat, respect of the trail and people who come in from outside. And something I want to sort of ask you, Tya, really is, as an Indigenous man and someone with a connection to country, speaking to people who are coming in from outside of the area, maybe coming for the first time to run these trails, is there a way that runners can respect the trails or find a connection?
Yeah, look, I feel underqualified for this question as a non-jogger and runner. But look, as a walker and as an explorer traversing through the same country that you're jogging along, I think it is just, how do you appreciate a landscape for the first time when you've been here? And I think for people that revisit this landscape, they'll have a good idea by the first visit they had that what they're up for. But for many people, for the first time, it's like, okay, how do we compare this to other trails that we've run on before? I highly doubt there's too many flat sections along the 100 miler. A few areas might be there, but traditionally I think it's about how do you enter a space, or how do you enter country, and do you announce yourself and yell out your name and introduce yourself and say, well, I am such and such and I'm here for this reason. A lot of people are, controversy about smoking ceremonies, and just be mindful that that's more of a cleansing ceremony. Many cultures all around the world undertake cleansing, smoking ceremonies, which I think we've got to remind ourselves of that as well. In particular, people that start the hikes up to Mount Everest and things, they do blessing and smoking of all their gear and stuff before they go. So that's one way that you could acknowledge and welcome country yourself. Also, another way that I try and connect to country as well is by getting some creek from the local water source there, drip some water over your head and on your arms and your feet, let that water drip back onto country, back into Mother Earth, and that is another way to ground and connect you to this Gary Word landscape. So just be mindful that there's many different ways that as an individual you can go about that. If you come here with a group, you can undertake that and perform that little ceremony yourselves, or reach out. There could be an opportunity for someone like myself to come and help out and get involved with that, just to really promote and enhance the experience that people will get from this landscape. As giving or as ungiving as it can be, I think, there's many different ways to go about it. So, yeah.
That's interesting and really good to hear, and it makes me think about it's probably something that I haven't focused on enough. I know Mark has spoken about that. Mark has a particular connection with one specific peak, but you have spoken in the past, Mark, about having that introduction.
Yeah, so the last few events, I've got my own little thing where I just go up. I've got this affinity with Mount Rosea, which we'll talk about, I think, on episode 4. It's beaten me up and given me some of the most amazing experiences. So what I've taken to is I've got a little spot up there now where I just go up and I just take my shoes off, just bare feet for a minute, and just have some time, and just kind of it's almost like I need to pay some respect or something to, just so, I'm like, I'm going to be coming through here. Please don't beat me up when I'm coming through, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Safe passage type thing. Yeah, during the events it's been quite kind, but outside of that, sometimes not as kind.
I also wanted to ask you, Tya, about, so when a lot of people ran the event in 2025, the impact of fire was really evident for a lot of that. We had a big bushfire at the start of 2025, and even though the event was 10, 11 months after, it was very visible, but bushfire has always been part of the landscape and the cultural landscape as well. Did you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah, look, I think it's a little bit unfortunate that our association with fire in this country has changed quite dramatically over the last so many hundred years, and that's very unfortunate because fire is part of cleansing and cleaning up country. It's that regular maintenance and caring for the landscape that you live in. It's very important that we introduce regular fire back into the landscape, and you will see the benefits of that, but it will take quite some time to get back to that usual burning regime that, the Djapurrung and Jardwajali people used to do in this landscape. And that's probably why we do see such devastating fires that we see today, is because the country is just so overgrown, it's so thick. Trail runners out there would have seen a vast difference from the northern end of Garryword unburnt country, and as they ran through they would have seen the devastating effects that wild bushfire did have, and it does scar the landscape. It devastates the biodiversity and vegetation, and also the wildlife. I have major concerns about what's happening there as well, but I think it's really important that fire is beneficial if it's done correctly and quite regularly in a particular area or landscape. So
yeah, yep. Part of this episode 1 is we're going to go through sector 1 of the GPT in a little bit of detail. As we step through, perhaps we'll get a 30-second recap from Phil and Mark and myself of the recent 2025 event. Perhaps just a recap of how you did overall. Phil?
Oh, yeah. So the 2025 event, I ran the 50-kilometre race, which was great. Came 8th overall, first old bloke. So I came first in the Masters category.
Is that 60 plus?
Yeah, I wish it was. Yeah, no. 40 years old, 40 years young. Yeah, it was a good run. I ran about 5 hours 40. So I was hoping to go quite a bit faster than that. And, there were some spots in the middle section that we get to in sort of episode 2 that were pretty difficult, I found, on the day. But otherwise, my experience of running the 50K is just a fantastic race. The end-to-end nature of it, you start at Mount Zero, finish in Halls Gap. There's a brewery right there where you finish, which is just sensational. It's good for rehydration, electrolytes, carbs, and everything else. But had a ball. It was a really, really good race.
Fantastic. What about you, Mark?
I was just going to say Phil still missed out on his free beer from the brewery for doing under 5 hours. So
the rumour was that you get free beer before midday, but nobody was there to open it before midday.
Yeah, I think Peter Frano, who won it, was banging on the door wanting his free beer, but no one was there.
It was a really good experience for me this year. Pretty daunting. So first time I've attempted to run 100 miles, and it's quite an undertaking, but really there was some amazing start line buzz to it. And then I mentioned earlier in the episode, just had this probably a couple of K in, this really strong connection to place, and I actually got quite emotional. I think I actually cried like 3 times between the start line and the Gar trailhead, because I was just even being there and having the privilege to, one, connect to the landscape, but to even be able to undertake something like this. It was quite humbling, but I did go out a little bit quick, probably because I was a bit excited for those reasons, but that's all right. I actually had a really good one. Like, we'll probably get to Flat Rock and a description on that, but that's the start, heading up there. I definitely just walked that quite slow, just happy knowing how long the journey was. But I remembered probably 2 weeks prior, I was up working in Horsham, which is a town up just past the kind of northern end of Garryword up there, and I'm like, oh, I'll go for a run in the north of the park coming back. And I was having a look on Strava and I'm just seeing what segments were around for some of those segment chases. So I was just looking at Phil, who tried to pinch my crown I got yesterday off me again this morning, but it didn't register.
Bit of help rivalry.
But anyway, so I noticed Flat Rock, which is the start of the race. It's probably 600 metres start of the race. I noticed there was a segment up that, and I didn't recognise any. None of the local people had the names, and I'm like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and I'm going to send Flat Rock, and like blatant. Just go. So I ran up, it's called Mount Stapleton, which is kind of the first. It was a really nice run, sort of 5.5, 6K return. I jogged back down, and then I went to where the start line of the race is, which is a little bit up. It's probably 100 metres up past the start of Flat Rock, and I'd noticed that people who'd done the event had registered. So I ran back down, so I went really slow up and back down, and I'm like, okay, got to where the start line is, and then just pinned it to the top of Flat Rock, trying to blatantly get this crown. And ran back down, I was gassed, and got back down, and it didn't register, so I was shattered.
Shocking.
So it never really happened.
No, it never really happened, and that's what I get for blatantly trying to nab some crowds. I want my name at the top of the leaderboard for the start of the race.
I don't even think you were there on the day.
That's probably a good segue into Paddy, because I think you also went out a bit too quick, self-admittedly.
I absolutely went out too quick. Like, I did Flat Rock how I planned. Like, I had the poles out, walked up Flat Rock. I noticed I generally walk with the poles a little bit faster than other people, so I guess I was doing all right, just walking up, and then you have a bit of a downhill, and then you're walking up Mount Stapleton. I was feeling pretty good, and then after that, I just don't know what happened to me. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I just thought, oh, I'm just feeling so good. Today's my day. It's that day that they always talk about, that you're having the race day of your life.
I love this. At the start of a 100-mile event,
2Ks in,
and we're talking about this is over 7,700 meters of vert. Yeah. This race has got.
Yeah.
And in the first 200 meters, you're like, yeah, I got this.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I had the first 300 meters of vert down, and I'm like,
we were talking about like respecting the land,
adrenaline.
So I realised I'd really gone wrong when, I don't know, after about an hour. I knew somebody was behind me, so I let them overtake, and it was Sanjay Sherpa, the winner of the previous year's event. I was like, oh, I'm at the wrong end of the field. Like, yeah, so I did the first 60K way too fast. Actually got my record for the first 50K, the fastest I've ever run it.
You had some good pace setters.
Yeah. And then the wheels really fell off. Probably about the time that you got on board, Phil, and paced me from Barra Huts. And that was massively appreciated.
That's correlation, not causation there, I think. I'm not taking any responsibility for that, for you feeling bad at that point in time.
Yeah, I just started too fast for the first 60K and then paid for it in the next 100K. So, yeah, in the end, I finished about 30th overall and was 33.5 hours.
At the start of my pacing duties, I think it was about 16 or 18 minutes for you to ask me to stop talking. You were already in your pain cave. You were already just, gone within yourself.
I remember requesting a bit of silence because I was like, I need to figure out what my body's going through to decode it. But yeah, the pacing was excellent.
I can't keep responding to these questions.
Yeah, that was it.
So Sector 1, just to pull back to there, it's a 15.5 kilometre sector with 620 metres of vertical gain, so climbing, and it goes from the Mount Zero picnic area. Car park is where it starts and ends at the Gar trailhead. Relatively runnable. As far as the rest of the trail goes, a lot of that 15.5 is actually runnable. 7 of the top 10 times on Strava for this sector were set at the 2025 GPT event.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so by participants in the 50k or the stage races. So Maggie Lennox has the top female time with 1:34. And she just beat Simone Brick's 2024 time by about 36 seconds. And on the men's side, Toby Lang has a 1:18, and he was just a few seconds in front of the 50k winner, Peter Frano.
That is quick, yeah.
It's extremely quick. We will talk through the whole of the trail from start to finish through these 12 episodes, but everybody remembers the start.
Yeah, we've already mentioned Flat Rock quite a few times. Now, just for full disclosure, it's not all that flat. It's definitely a hill.
It goes for about 600 meters, and it's like if you were walking on the moon, but the moon's on a bit of an angle. And you've got a lot more gravity.
Yeah.
Sounds like it should be called Bear Rock, not Flat Rock.
It's about a 17% gradient too. It's tempting to try and run, but you're not really going to be much quicker, are you? You know, like you're just going to burn out.
Yeah, and we've talked about the excitement of the race. It's really, really tempting to just pull out all stops and start trotting up this rock.
But I mean, I always advise people to walk, but I've got to say in 2025, there was an alternate method that I really admired by a Tasmanian guy called Sam Webb, or Siggy. He took off at the start line like it was a 100-metre sprint. It was fantastic. And I was talking to him throughout the race because we swapped places quite a few times. He had an amazing race, and it's fully documented on a blog by Joe Nunn. If you look up Joe Nunn or Sam Webb blog, you'll find it.
There was a roller coaster of a race.
He had an amazing race, but he ran so fast up Flat Rock, he thought he was running with the front runners and turned around and realised they were only about halfway up. So he pulled out his mobile phone and took a bit of a selfie video describing so I think I've gone a bit fast here. And that's also on the blog, so I highly recommend people get onto it. But yeah, notable mention for sure.
Well, you get to the top of Flat Rock and you just get these most amazing views, what climbers refer to as Taipan Wall, which is just this sheer cliff with these just amazing sandstone colours. Like if you go up there in the evening, you get this kind of the glow of the sun resonating off it. You work your way under this sheer cliff face and head up, and Flat Rock's impressive, but then this cliff face almost beats it.
It's really something else. It's stunning. You can't describe it in words how bloody cool it is.
Oh, I think we mentioned earlier that Garroward landscape changes quite dramatically throughout those 100 miles, but I think that first section you're talking about, it's part desert country, I suppose, and that's what's quite fascinating about that part of it. But yeah, I think it's just that rugged rocks up there, you know, the real hollowed out honeycomb sort of rocks. The colours change from dark right through to bright orange and all sorts of yellowy bright colours. So yeah, it's quite a magical part of Garroward. But yeah, I although not run it, there's certainly some sections there that have been quite hard to traverse across and try and climb up some of those sections there. And another area, highly culturally significant to the First Nations people up there as well. So it's a very, very special place.
I know as you work your way under the cliff and then you head up around, and the trail doesn't actually summit Mount Stable. It's a little detour. The main Grampians Peaks Trail continues on. There's a fork and you turn right and go. But for people going up there doing a day trip, definitely worth heading up to the summit of Stable. There's a little false summit and a bit of a rock scramble to get to the main one. But I know you talked earlier, Ty, about habitation and the caves and things like that, but there's an amazing cave on that hike as you're heading up to the summit. You don't see it on the main trail, but you follow the offshoot a couple hundred metres around, and it's huge.
Yep. And I think it's important as well, like for many runners, they've got a lot of support crew with them, family and friends, so it's about providing them the opportunity too. What are they going to do while their partner, friends or family are tackling the trail? So certainly make the most of the opportunity to check out some of those spots as well along the way.
And then after you, on the GPT trail, you peak as close as you get to Mount Stapleton or Gunagog, then you continue along, and there's still some techie bits in there, but then it does become quite runnable for the majority of this section.
Yeah, it's nice to get about a 3K through to what's called Coppermine Track, and really kind of flowy, flat or slight descent, which is really fun. And then I think Coppermine Track's about 6.5K in. There's a water tank there. parks have water tanks at all the road crossings along the GPT, which is really good for trail running. They fill them up, so you know there's going to be water along your journey.
And most of the time that's reliable.
Yeah.
How long is it before it starts tending downhill?
You got that slight ascent, not much, it's probably 50 metres vert, and then you got a bit of ridgeline running for a couple of Ks, which is really nice. You're kind of running on this west-facing ridge, on the top of rock slab ridge type thing for about 2K, and then you got a fantastic descent that I personally have accidentally bombed too hard a couple of times and blown up the quads, but that's okay. It's good fun down into the hiker camp, so it's probably a 3K descent.
A lot of tripping opportunities there, I think, as well.
Yes, yeah.
It's nice and it's runnable, but it's also at the stage where you know that there's an aid station coming up, so you can relax a little bit. But the problem with trail running is that when you start relaxing, you start sort of thinking about where your feet are going, and that's always been my problem as well. If I haven't had that extra gel or taken on a bit more water, I get tired, and you just need a millimetre of your shoe to hit a millimetre of rock, and down you go.
The downhill goes to the first hiker camp of the Grampians Peaks Trail. If there's been enough rain, there'll be some rainwater in the tanks there. And there's a little bit of shelter if you're there in inclement weather.
First toilets.
Toilets, yes, as well. Then, you continue descending, and then you get into this area that's actually quite shaded and cool. Unfortunately, it's shaded by sallow wattle, which is a bit of a pest in this area. But you'll feel the temperature drop a bit for a couple of 100 metres before you come out of that, cross a little bridge, and then do a bit of ascending again up to a second ridge line.
Yeah, and that's a really fun kind of ridge line. It was about 3K, that ridge line?
Yeah, I think 3K and slight uphill, I think, along that ridge line.
Yeah, you're looking down, you kind of feel like you're running parallel to where the Gar trailhead is, and I always think I'm going to drop down, but I've now realised which gully the Gar trailhead is, so I know I'm like, oh no, I'm not, I can't even see the gully yet, and I'm not dropping down yet. It's got a little while to go.
Fantastic views across to the south, looking towards Gar itself, and also out to the left you've got Briggs Bluff.
Yeah, there's tons to look at. It's worth regularly popping your head up and having a look across towards Gar.
Maybe just while we're talking about watching the trail and looking away.
Yeah.
I think first time when we recorded this section, there was some comments about how there's less snakes up there because that's where some bushfires went through years ago and it got so hot that they degraded the population a little bit. I've definitely seen snakes since on that ridge line.
I nearly stepped on a snake on that section of trail. I reckon I was 100 mil away and definitely was not very comfortable. But I do know where this is going, Paddy, because in the first recording of this...
I mean, it would have been great to do a live cross to our snake expert, Phil, for this episode, but we've got him here in the studio.
This is one you prepared earlier. Is that what you're saying?
Do you want to give us a quick account of what happened to you elsewhere in Garryword?
I learned what you shouldn't do as far as snake encounters is concerned. I think we hit this up on one of the bonus episodes later. We do a panel discussion.
Run the Gap panel discussion.
Yep. Yeah, so we if you want some more detail on this. But anyway, long story short, I was out just ticking a few kilometres off in my marathon plan. I was out in Devil's Garden, which is sort of to the east of Halls Gap. Nice little flat bit, but it's bushland. In the evening, went out for a run and just felt this snap on my leg. And then I felt a bit sort of electrocute up my leg as well for the next couple of steps. Looking down, thinking, man, there's got to be some bracken or chicken wire or something attached to my leg. I look down, there's just two little red dots with blood sort of dripping down. It's just two little red lines on my ankle. So I knew exactly what that was. I looked behind me, couldn't see the snake. It was just so obvious. Anyway, thankfully I had a snake bandage, I had my phone, I told people where I was going.
So organised. Textbook.
No, I didn't have any of those things. I did not have a snake bandage, did not have a phone, and absolutely no one in the world knew where I was at that point in time.
But that's okay because you stopped moving, yeah?
So I was alone, I was shitting myself. I did stop for a little while. I had no clue what to do. Looked at my watch, heart rate was through the roof. So I thought, I'm pretty screwed, whether I move or whether I don't move, which is a wrong assumption again.
I guess the main thing is you just don't move.
That's the wisdom now. And it was then. I just didn't know it. So yeah, I started moving, which was something you shouldn't do. There was a house nearby. I banged on the door. There was no one there. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to start moving closer towards the road, give myself the best chance of survival. And then ended up getting all the way back home. Saw my mates there who called 000, bandaged me up. They took me off to hospital, get a bit of snake, not venom.
Anti-venom.
Already had the venom. What's the opposite of venom? You had the anti-venom in there, and held me overnight. So lucky to be around. But it's all on Strava though. So if anyone wants to follow along on that little chestnut.
Well, I was going to say, how did you find out about Phil being bitten by a snake, Paddy?
Yeah, because I saw it on Strava. He called his activity "got bit by a snake" and gave him a call and said, "Hey mate, are you all right?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, going all right. Just in an ambulance at the moment."
Yeah, I did ask permission from the Ambo as to whether I could update my Strava while I was lying in the back of the car.
I guess it's a good lesson as far as if we go back to Sector 1 and you get over the ridge that sometimes has snakes on it. It's a good safety message to always carry a snake bandage so you can bandage yourself up. If you don't know how, check out a YouTube video of how you do bandage yourself up. Just don't move. And there are areas all through the park that don't have mobile reception. And I think most of that first sector does have mobile reception, but I know at the very end, when you get to Gar Trailhead, you won't have any at all. And that's even with a Telstra SIM card, which tends to have more coverage than the others. Have you had any encounters with snakes, Tya?
Oh, look, not as good a story as that one. Jeez, I'm glad you're still here, sitting on the couch to tell the story. So, okay, now I see where the banter's come from about how Slytherin over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think, I haven't had as close as counter as that, but I think you're right. It's about being vigilant in the landscape. I certainly wouldn't want to be leading the pack because you'll probably be the first person to come across snake laying there bathing itself in the sun. But yeah, definitely be vigilant while you're out there running, and I'm sure that all runners will be supportive of each other in a time of need, certainly during the race as well. So
it's funny though, I still get out into the trails and love it, and I've seen plenty of snakes. They generally just scuttle off. They don't want to be anywhere near us.
These snakes are really scared of you. They're not aggressive at all. It's
scared of you too. It's not just me. Well, you are very friendly, but
it's important to know they're not aggressive. If you see a snake, give them space. If you do accidentally stand on one, which is typically why people get bites, the main thing is just don't move and wait for help or call for help.
As well, where you got bitten was on a management road. It wasn't on single track. The single track, there's so many little hollows and spaces, the little gaps in the rocks for them. They'll get out of the way. It's not like, I've got nowhere to go. I'll need to attack as well. So
they've got options. Yeah. You're spot on. It's very, very rare that people get bitten.
As someone who's got no desire to ever have any lived experience with a snake bite, how was the pain? Like you talked about an electric shock up the leg, like out of a 10, what type of, are you going to be able to distinguish like a stick snapping against your leg versus like...
That's actually what it felt like, is that sort of stick snapping against your leg or, getting slapped by some bracken, which we've all experienced, either hiking or walking through. For me, it was the ongoing tingling up my leg.
Yeah, okay.
That made me stop running and look down and say, hey, what's happened?
We'll call that venom. Yeah.
That's the bad one. So, yeah, I don't know about out of 10 pain. It was a little sting.
But the telltale signs are the two
little red dots in the blood, really, it was a giveaway, yeah.
At that point, you get over that ridge and then you've got a really nice flowy downhill back to Gar Trailhead, which is the first aid station and the end of Sector 1.
If you're in the event, you can sort of start hearing the noise of the aid station.
A lot of cowbells.
And that sort of stuff, which is very nice. So you sort of get a bit of a boost as you come into the aid station, and you also want to look good for your friends.
And if you're not there during the event, there is another water tank there that's also filled by Parks Vic as well. So Mark, when you've been running up there, do you do out and back or do you have any loops that you do?
Yeah, there's a couple of loops up near Mount Stapleton you can do, like 8K, and actually another really one of my favourite hikes in the park, Hollow Mountain, isn't far. There's another trailhead only a couple of Ks from Mount Zero. It's a beautiful walk and you can kind of loop that through, an 8K loop. Also towards the Gar Trailhead, a couple of nice loops you can do linking in, heading up towards Gar as well with that section of the trail. So a couple of loops, but it is harder to do the whole thing without doing an out and back. That 16K, the car shuffle's a bit of logistics.
Yeah, it gets a bit long. You're sort of talking about a 32K out and back.
It is, yeah.
if you do the 8K but you feel like more, the GPT starts in the Mount Zero picnic area, but you can actually head north to go to Mount Zero itself. There's a bit of a techie little climb up and back, and then around the Hollow Mountain car park's only about 600 metres away, and you can go up Hollow Mountain. But then there's also Gulgan Manja, one of the rock art sites that's known to the public, and there's a really nice walk and fantastic to see the rock art itself.
Is it pretty well signposted, that first section?
That's a really good point, Tya. I think that the most commonly wrong turn that's taken on that section is people, after they get up Gunagul to Mount Stapleton, a lot of people take a left to go up as if they're going to the summit. But if you follow the Doritos, the little triangular yellow signs, it actually points to the right, which takes you south down the GPT. It's commonly taken that wrong turn.
I'm sure you don't want to be running extra kilometres unnecessarily.
During the event, there was about 8 people in front of me that had gone down the descent we talked about before the hiker camp. You sort of cross a gully or a creek crossing. There's about 8 people that had gone off down a trail that wasn't there, taking the wrong turn down that gully. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, hold on, everyone, no, it's back this way. And then I'm like, oh, sweet. And then that didn't help me probably go a bit fast, because then I was like, oh... It is pretty well signposted though, and the Parks Victoria do a great job. They've got a trail crew here and they do a really great job of maintaining the trail, and having been to single track in other areas, it's definitely a very well maintained and signed trail where if there are wrong directions, seem to be closed off pretty quickly through the maintenance teams and stuff, so it's good. Paddy, I'm a little bit interested. You mentioned in the introduction about your chair of Gary Word trail running. Now, this is something that's been going for a couple of years, and it's just a fantastic resource for people who haven't been here or are wanting to know more about trail running in Gary Word. Can you describe a bit about Gary Word trail running, what it's about and sort of what it's there for?
Yeah, definitely. So it started just as a simple information resource, just to say, oh, these are all the trail running options available around Gary Word. Some are grouped by easy, intermediate, advanced. But now it's sort of got a life of its own, which is really, really good to see. It's a not-for-profit entity. It's got a committee of 8 members who are all locals from Halls Gap, Pomona, Moyston and Dunkeld areas. And now it's really like a platform for which we can launch heaps of really cool projects that benefit the sport of trail running. And the purpose is to steer that growth of the trail running community, and that includes not just locals, it includes visitors as well. Try to steer it in a way that it's promoting that sense of community, but also appreciation for our surrounds, so that what we enjoy as locals can be shared and enjoyed by others in a really ongoing, sustainable way.
So if someone was coming here to go trail running, how would they access information?
Yeah, Gary Word Trail Running on Instagram and Facebook. And on there, we really try to connect people and bring them into our weekly Friday morning run, which changes location and start time throughout the year. But we've actually been running that for 2 years now. It's been amazing to see. And the real message I'd like to get across here is this is open to everyone. So you don't have to be a particular pace. It's free. Just turn up. It's super welcoming. It's always, we always consider it a win when we see strangers turn up who don't know anybody and they're uncertain about pace, but they've quickly realised that's not an issue. But it's just such a win because, you know, it means we've got our messaging right, that we're super welcoming. Just turn up, and it's a great way to have a chat about the trails, what you're going to run that weekend. And we often finish with a coffee at a cafe in Halls Gap called Live Fast as an option. So, yeah, just a really good social weekly thing.
It really is I think you've talked about, you know, your mission of being the most welcoming run out there. You've achieved that. So the group and the Friday runs is awesome, but the resource that's on Instagram and across the social media platforms is really fantastic. That's the gap that we were trying to fill. Talking about doing this podcast was just allowing runners to sort of have the information at their fingertips. Mm-hmm. So yeah, hats off to Gary Word Trail Running. And
the committee's been amazing. Like so many cool projects have come out of it, including this podcast has obviously come out of it, but running discussion panels about how people can first get on the trails. There's another discussion panel at Wonderland Run Weekend that was about safety for women and gender diverse runners on the trails and building awareness of that.
Oh, it's so good. Like, we're a member of the core communities of respect and equality. And I know that we're coming up next week. We're organising active bystanders training to talk about domestic violence and that we're promoting for the community to come along and learn more and understand more. So it's really doing some great things for the community here in Greater Grampians region, but in particular Budja and Halls Gap, which has some fantastic things in itself. I know, Tya, you mentioned you grew up here from a young kid. You know, what are you got any advice for people who are coming for a visit?
Yeah, oh look, there's not too many people I haven't met over the many moons that I've lived here, that a lot of repeat visitors. So a lot of people had either come here and during the school camps, done their hikes, their climbing, their bike riding, whatever brought them here. Families would obviously visit here as well, regular holiday visits, and then I start to see that those young kids are now returning back here as adults with their own family, and it's just a continuation of that special place, and people appreciate everything that it offers. But look, there's so much to see and do here. As said, trail running, you do regular runs on Fridays and other special events on weekends. Also, just hiking in general, there's plenty of lookouts here, wheelchair accessible as well, plenty of swimming opportunities around here. But yeah, the list is endless, but I think definitely make the most of it when you get here.
Hospitality is fantastic too. Food and wine, and this area just punches so far above its weight in quality of the coffee, brekkie, dinner.
Bit of a shout out to midweek visits. If you get the chance to take a week off work and get up here, I mean, it's great to see crowds on weekends, but it's pretty luxurious during the week when no one's here, and you can go and have a coffee when it's nice and quiet, hit the trails when there's no one out there.
Yeah, and growing up, I suppose it took me a while to fully understand that I live in a tourist destination, and it's not until you get a bit older and you leave and come back, it's yes, like, okay, well, you know, this is, you know, it is a tourist destination, and a lot of the businesses and that do heavily rely on that visitation, either weekends, holidays, midweek visits as well. So yeah, it's very important, and that's hence why the reason that I sometimes hide out up in the hills, because I love mingling with people and having a yarn along the way. But yeah, it's also good to get some solitude and bunker away for a little bit to get some quiet time.
I like to think it's one of the only places you can go for a nice wander, run, get lost out in the trails and have an absolute ball, an epic experience. You know, finish it at a brewery that's brewing their own beer, or at the wine bar, which we all frequent regularly. You've got one of Australia's best sommeliers here in a wine bar. So if you're in town, go see Simon for a wine recommendation after going for a trail run. Oh man, we're just spoiled.
Yeah, definitely. Well, just wanted to say a big thank you to Tya, our special guest, for joining us today. It was just so appreciate having you on.
Nah, look, as I said, it's been a great honour and privilege to be here amongst some local legend trail runners of the Garryword landscape. And as I said, you may not find me out on the trails every day of the week, or not much at all. But yeah, certainly, you mentioned earlier, my young fella, Willem, he's definitely into his running, and certainly something that he's very interested in attending very soon with yourselves.
Did he get his trail vest for Christmas?
I was going to mention that. Yes, he's got his trail vest there now. He's got his little,
best Christmas present ever.
And I think the best Christmas present he got was a fellow runner, Emma, which many trail runners probably know Emma locally in the area. She gifted him one of your running caps, the Garryword GTR fantastic caps, and I don't know if he's taken it off very much at all. And very excited about his little drink bottle that fits in his vest as well. So,
that's awesome.
So look out. My spirit will have to run within him and also yourselves in the future. So
you might have to bring him down to Friday morning or two.
So you'll probably talk me into having a bit of a jog once I'm good to go. So
fantastic. And thanks for tuning in. It was really nice to finally record this episode. Keep listening. We might do a few other updates of other episodes, but otherwise tune in to episode 2.
Thanks all.
Cheers.